What does the 1960s feel like to you? Is it the sound of a roaring V8 engine on an open road? The taste of a television dinner eaten in front of a brand new color television? Or the feeling of a world brimming with change, optimism, and space-age possibility? The 60s was a decade of incredible transformation, a time when the post-war boom was in full swing, and American homes were filling up with amazing new products. Today, let's take a trip back and rediscover 20 of the best-selling and most iconic products that defined life in the 1960s. It all started in the driveway. In 1964, the Ford Mustang galloped onto the American scene. It wasn't just a car, it was a revolution. With its long hood, short deck, and affordable price tag, it was the dream car for a new generation. It represented youth, freedom, and the pure joy of the open road. The Mustang wasn't just selling horsepower, it was selling a feeling, and America bought it by the millions. And you needed a way to capture all those great moments. For that, there was the Kodak Instamatic camera. Before the Instamatic, photography could be complicated. But this camera, introduced in 1963, was a game changer. It used a simple drop-in film cartridge, making it incredibly easy for anyone to point and shoot. A staggering 60 million Instamatic cameras were sold during the 60s and 70s. It was the camera that documented a generation's birthday parties, road trips, and backyard barbecues, one satisfying click at a time. Inside the home, the living room was being transformed. For years, color television had been a fuzzy, washed-out dream. Then, in 1968, Sony introduced the Trinitron color television. Suddenly, the colors on the screen were vibrant and sharp. Watching shows like Bonanza or The Ed Sullivan Show felt like you were looking through a window into another world. It wasn't just a new television. It was a revolution in your living room, and Sony went on to sell 100 million of them. Of course, your connection to the outside world was the Western Electric Model 500 telephone. This was the phone in most American homes during the 60s. Famed for its distinctive circular ringer and its virtual indestructibility, this heavy, sturdy device was built to last a lifetime. You could slam the receiver down in anger, and it would just sit there, ready for the next call. It was a true icon of American communication. And to hear the sounds of the world, you had the Braun T3 transistor radio. This little pocket radio, masterfully designed by Dieter Rams, was a symbol of personal freedom. For the first time, you could take your music with you to the beach, to the park, anywhere. Its minimalist design was so forward-thinking that it is thought to be the inspiration behind Apple's iPod decades later. The kitchen was also a hub of innovation. At the heart of it was often the Sunbeam Mixmaster. While other brands might be more famous today, the Mixmaster was the best-selling stand mixer of the decade in North America. It was a workhorse, a symbol of modern convenience that made baking easier for millions of mothers. The U.S. Postal Service even created a stamp to honor it as one of America's greatest inventions. And for dinner, there was the ultimate convenience, the television dinner. While they first appeared in the 50s, the 60s was when they truly became a staple. After a long day, you could just pull a partitioned aluminum tray from the freezer, heat it in the oven, and have a full meal of turkey, mashed potatoes, and peas. It wasn't gourmet, but it was easy, and it meant you could eat in front of the television, which was a revolution in itself. The 1960s was a golden age for toys, creating icons that are still famous today. The queen of them all was the Barbie doll. Barbie sold by the truckload during the 60s, and her looks and outfits perfectly reflected the fashions of the time, from chic Jackie O-style suits to hip mod-inspired threads. She was more than a doll, she was a fashion icon. And for boys, there was G.I. Joe. Introduced in 1964, this 12-inch action figure was Hasbro's answer to Barbie. He wasn't a doll. He was a movable fighting man, an adventurer, and a hero for millions of boys. In 1963, the Easy Bake Oven turned every kid into a pastry chef. This legendary toy used the heat from a simple light bulb to bake real, tiny cakes and cookies. The feeling of pulling a warm, freshly baked treat out of your very own oven was pure magic. If you weren't baking, you might be drawing on an Etch-a-Sketch. Invented in the late 50s and launched in the US in 1960, this magical red-framed art toy was both fun and infuriating. You would twist the two white knobs to create intricate line drawings, and then, with one good shake, your masterpiece was gone forever. Then there was the troll doll craze. These wild-haired dolls with their strange, wrinkly faces were launched in the US in 1963 and sparked a major fad. They weren't beautiful like Barbie, but their quirky charm was irresistible. And you can't forget the chatty Cathy doll. The second most popular doll of the 60s after Barbie, this pull-string doll would utter one of 11 phrases when her cord was tugged, much to the delight of children and the endless annoyance of their parents. For the aspiring scientist, there was Uncle Milton's ant farm. This formicarium, which was heavily promoted in comics, let you watch the incredible world of an ant colony right there in your bedroom. And finally, in 1968, Mattel introduced Hot Wheels. These tiny, fast-moving die-cast cars, with their vibrant colors and cool designs, revolutionized the toy car market and became an instant obsession. The 60s weren't just about what you owned, but what you did. And in 1966, the game of Twister turned parties upside down. It was the game that ties you up in knots, a simple vinyl mat with colored circles that forced players into hilarious, awkward positions. It was even called Sex in a Box by its critics, which only made it more popular. And what did you look at in your groovy new room? Perhaps a lava lamp. It became an absolute icon of late 60s psychedelic culture, the hypnotic, bubbling centerpiece of every cool dorm room. To get that perfect summer tan, you needed copper-toned sunscreen. The brand's iconic ad, featuring a little girl and a puppy pulling at her bathing suit, became one of the most famous images in American advertising history. And if you wanted to change your look, there was Clairol hair dye. Its revolutionary ad campaign, with the slogan, "Does she or doesn't she?" made hair coloring acceptable and mainstream for the first time, taking it from something seen as cheap to something natural-looking and believable. From the roar of a Mustang to the quiet glow of a lava lamp, the 1960s was a decade that reshaped American life in countless ways. These weren't just products. They were the tools we used to build our memories, the symbols of our style, and the toys that sparked our imagination. What is the one product from the 60s that you remember the most? Share your story in the comments below. And if this trip down memory lane made you smile, please give it a like and subscribe for more journeys into our shared past.